macroeconomic situation in our country is now better than it was in 2022. Inflation has come down. For the first time, inflation is at 2.7%, the lowest in 17 years.
All right, welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak, and earlier on we heard from the Principal Secretary at the Basic Education Department, Dr. Belio Kipsang, and that there is Professor Kithure Kindiki, Deputy President, speaking about the situation in the economy. And Honorable Koech, you are making your point about how far we've come and the difference between the books and the pockets.
Absolutely. First, let me, that is a deputy president we've always wanted. That is what we've always wanted in this government, a deputy president who amplifies the government position out there. This is the right person for this job. I must congratulate Professor Kithure Kindiki. He is a man of the moment. And you're taking up from him on...
Why do you say that, though?
Because we've not had that. We've had a situation where, where decisions are made in the cabinet and, a deputy who is supposed to be supporting the president out there has been offending the same decision of the cabinet. It's been very difficult. So that you sit in a cabinet meeting, you go out as the former deputy president and still attack the same government that made the decision where you were sat. This one is a deputy president who is telling the public what is happening, telling the public that...
The macroeconomic situation.
Yes, that we are at 2.7% low, the lowest we've had in 17 years. I mean, that is where we are. So I was saying, Sam, that when we came in, there were extremely big challenges at that time. Like Gabriel is saying, we are not there yet. But there is deliberate effort by the government to get the situation better. And it was very deliberate, number one. And I think you should have married the headline of the Nation and the headline of the Standard.
Right.
Pro Kenyans are being forced to steal. And then this one, retail taxes create two classes of Kenyans. We have a situation at hand. And it is, like I said, we have a civil service that is so big, that is so small, rather, of 968,000 against a population of more than 50 million. What do you do then with the rest of the people who are unemployed? We have a bulging youth population that is looking for employment. This government has been very deliberate, making sure that housing fund and housing program is, first of all, aimed at addressing the challenge of employment, so that we have so many young people out there who do not have formal employment, getting into casual jobs and having something in their pocket at the end of the day. That, in a way, spreads
So how many people have we employed so far?
That will be the job of the government spokesperson.
In housing.
He will tell us. But,
you have a number?
In housing?
But,
yeah, it's quite high. It's heading, the last I checked, I think it was heading to 200 and something.
200 and something.
200 people.
Assuming so far we've done
200,000
people employed under the housing program.
Yes,
even more.
Visited, and more. And we've visited quite a few sites. And really, like the one we just went to Ruiru the other day, it was quite a shocker, Mheshimiwa. This is an area. This is actually a place that has employed 1,000 plus young men and women who come to work. Nearly 1,000 who come to work on a daily basis. They've been there for 1 year. And just talking to the youth there, they were telling us, we came here without knowing quite a lot. Today, the on-site training has actually put them at an advantage to work in any other site, whether public or private. One was telling us in the colloquial language, tulikuja hapa tujui hata kukunja chuma. Sasa tunaweza kunja chuma, tunaweza chunga mchanga, tunajua hata vile milango inatengezwa. Not only that, the economy within that area, there was a youth group, that are into welding. They've been given all that job. Millions of shillings that they had never seen before. But guess what, Sam Gitko? They are up to the task. They are the ones now
What is the nature of those contracts? The job contracts?
What do you mean the nature?
The people that have been employed, you've saying 200,000. What is the nature of the contract?
It's casual.
They're casuals.
Yeah.
So is that employment sustainable?
It is, and some.
Oh.
I think we need to live in the reality of the moment.
That's where we are.
I know people who have done casual laborers in and out, and they've been able to feed family, invest, and do so many other things. Yet, they cannot come and tell you at one point they were ever employed on permanent basis. But they have lived to that. This is not only a Kenyan problem. I know so many countries. I've been in those countries where you've had people who have been in these forms of employment, and they have, lived an amazing, honest life and made very good money, be able to take their children to school, be able to invest, be able to do all manner of things. So I think it's good also to live in that reality. It's better for this young man to get up in the morning, go somewhere, be able to save, open up a small business. And by the way, what I'm telling you is something that I saw. People that I sat down, talked with, they are telling you, yes, I do this at 6, I have another side hustle. Okay.
All right, Gabriel. So Nelson, back to you. How many people have gotten employed under this program in Belgut?
First in Belgut, it's a modern market. There's a modern market that is coming up in center. Actually, our constituency headquarters is called Sociot, and that employs about 50 people daily.
But modern market was not part of the housing program.
That's what I'm saying. That's a different program by the government.
I'm talking about the affordable housing program.
The affordable housing is not in my constituency yet. It is in the county.
Are there people that have been employed under the affordable housing
It is in the
program?
county headquarters. So people who live close, from my constituency, who live close to Kericho town, then will go to Kericho town for work. It's a small number at this point.
Okay.
I will estimate it to be around 20 to 30. You must remember also that my constituency is big with multinationals that are doing tea. So many of our young people also get into the multinationals to do the manual jobs there. So mine is a bit of a different situation.
Okay, Mheshimiwa Mbui, what is the number of people, young people that have been employed under the affordable housing program?
None, some, and yet they are paying taxes because there is no affordable housing program in my constituency. They had proposed one, but even if they were to do one, who would even want to buy a house in the village, a multi-storied building there? So it's so far none, and I think it was a big mistake. It's funny, every time we talk about employment, the Kenya Kwanza regime goes quickly to the issue of housing, and you hear the numbers here: 200,000 against millions of Kenyans are unemployed. I mean, really, I think it's a drop in the ocean, and again, as we've just said, it's a short-lived employment project, because once the houses are built, a house will not take 10 years. It takes a year or so. Once the houses are put up, that's it. That's the end of employment for everyone. You can't keep building the same house forever. So I think it was a mistake, and unfortunately, it's water under the bridge. Now we have to live with it.
No, Gabriel, I found something.
I think it's actually
just hold on, so I give an opportunity to
that,
respond. I just found something. The speech of the president during the Mashujaa Day celebrations, he said that 160,000 jobs throughout the housing value chain had been created. You're not talking about more than 200,000.
Well,
Mashujaa Day was 20th of October.
The 160,
which is about 20 days
I know
ago.
The president talked about the 160,000, and there was also the speech, I think, by the CS, who said they were looking by the end of the year to have created 200,000 jobs.
So how many jobs have been created?
From what the president said, it's 160. But towards the end of the year, they hope to have created 200,000. But you have to look at this in its entirety. When Mheshimiwa says it's a small number vis-a-vis the unemployment, we go back to what Mheshimiwa I said earlier on. We have to live with the reality of things. Just because you've started something and it has produced 200,000, it is not a small figure, Sam. And we make the mistake because we feel, wait a minute, we make the mistake of looking at the real number, and sometimes you don't get it. Let's take an example. You have a fundi here, or somebody who's a bricklayer, getting, give or take, another example, 1,000 shillings per day. That person is buying something at the end of the day to Mama Mboga. Mama Mboga has money. That young man is going to buy milk at the milk vendor. That person is getting money every day. Mheshimiwa, that's how you grow an economy. So yes, you may look at an individual who's making 1,000, but if you look at the grand scheme of how the trickle-down economics, you know, out of that 1,000, you will find that it has reached nearly 5 people per day. That is how you grow the economy.
So
you see, we are dealing with some. We are dealing with issues that have not been taken care for far too long. The issue of housing, Mheshimiwa, just 1 minute. The issue of housing, you will find that it has been in the manifesto of so many previous administrations, correct? If you look at the issue of universal health care, it has been captured in the manifestos of so many administrations. 3 things we have to be serious about. Is the fact that you have somebody who has dared the entities to do them. They can no longer just be pieces of paper, Gabriel, and manifestos. They have to be done. And that's why I'm telling you, there are problems that have permeated for a long time. Housing, whether we like it or not.
Gabriel, that's fine. I hear you clearly. No one is doubting you here. The question I'm asking you, those things that you're talking about, the implication,
correct,
what are the metrics that you would use to measure, or when you look at the government statistics, what captures that indeed there has been an impact of the housing program?
So, some if you would have allowed me to just finish off, because he was responding to me, and I hear how passionate he is, and you know that's how Kenya Kwanza operates, very passionately. But when you look at the facts are that this money he's talking about has come from the same Mamboga and Boda Boda. You tax them to buy them houses, many of whom will
But Mheshimiwa, that's how the economy grows.
Sorry,
because I'm dealing with the fact that you mentioned Mamboga who are beneficiaries, because now things will be bought from them. But the money has been taken directly from them, imposed a tax on them, and then now you go and build houses. The same Mamboga and Boda Boda who probably never ever own these houses. The employment situation that you're talking about, it's not every Kenyan that works in that building.
But Mheshimiwa, you're forgetting there's a house levy.
Yes, the housing levy is what I'm talking about. You imposed it. So that's what I'm talking about. You impose a housing levy on Boda Boda, on Mamboga, and on every Kenyan.
We passed it in Parliament.
No, I rejected it. You know that I was very happy when the court had thrown it out. I don't know what it did. It came back. But all the same, I think...
Are you casting aspersions, the judiciary?
Sam, these are the wise sayings.
Let him finish. Have you finished?
So what I'm saying is that when you're talking about... when you're talking about how you're benefiting Mamboga and Boda Boda because people can buy from them and trade with them, you forget that you actually took the money from them in the first place. So I don't know what kind of bottom-up economic project you're thinking.
Where do we get our taxes from?
Gabriel, I'll come back to you.
We go back to the fair share.
Sorry, Gabriel.
That's what I was talking about.
Gabriel,
everybody pays their fair share.
Gabriel, please, I'll get back to you. Diana, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted to speak to the issue of what is happening and the macroeconomic situation. First, the construction sector this year, for the first time, contracted. It did not grow. So whether we speak about casual laborers and certain, that particular sector is very linked to part of our very productive sector. It shrunk. Cost of input, cost of labor, everything, it is not growing. Yet this is where all the money and even a specific levy was set aside. Move that to the next level, where tax collection from the finance and insurance industry shrunk for the first time. These are some of the sectors where, because they've had the luxury of trading with government and crowding out credit, they have been on a growth trajectory. This time, it shrunk, 2.4. ICT and communication, that's our future. We are known for our innovations and being ahead of the continent, even the globe. It shrunk by 13%. Something is very, very off. So as we address the macroeconomic issues, remember CBK went very, very aggressively to first push up interest rates. And CBK is one. Government institutions and how they relate to each other is something we need to discuss at greater length. So the interest rates first went up, and then there was shoring up of dollar currency and so on. Within no time, there was nobody else who could access credit. Previously, growth in access to credit was 25%. When that happens, it means whoever is doing casual labor in Mjengo, wherever else, has a chance of accessing credit and starting their own business, or even an additional business to supplement their income.
Right.
That disappeared completely, and it's now at 4%. Government is still the ultimate creditor of all bank, insurance, pension funds. All of them are lending to government. So yes, inflation has gone down, but who has the money? Mm-hmm. It is not with the people yet.
Okay.
So we hope moving forward, we will move away from just shielding the government and come to the ultimate public interest, where once the people have money in their pockets, it will flow. We keep saying, pay your fair share, pay your fair share, fair tax something. Mm-hmm. Pay your tax. Mm-hmm. But you can't pay what you do not have. Allow people to have incomes, to make money. And if they do that, then ultimately we'll be moving in the right direction.
All right.
Now, we've addressed the macroeconomic issues. Who has the money? Government institution. Remember, the Controller of Budget has said we pay interest of 1 billion to CBK every month.
1 billion every month?
Yes, in overdraft.
Okay.
In overdraft. Mm-hmm. What is this that would be causing government agencies every month to go for 1 billion in interest through overdraft? Mm-hmm. Why can't we plan properly? One of the sectors that is being celebrated that has grown significantly is capital gains. It got 7.8 billion. But everything we collected from capital gains after going to a new area and starting to tax has been lost to overdraft. Surely. Where okay. Is the problem the revenue? Is the problem the people? The problem is still within government. Honorable Korir has raised the issue. Honorable Koech has raised the issue of the government, the number of civil servants who are there. They're the legit ones. This is the one area that has been spotlighted as having significant ghost workers within the Teacher Service Commission, within the National Police Service Commission. We keep insisting, if we are in this very tight space where we have no classrooms for next year, where clearly even after creating a new health levy and a fund, it is not working, increasing significantly the amount of contribution that is being made by Kenyans. It is not working. Why aren't we reflecting deeply on what we must do to address the expenditure side? Right. Where there is a lot of loss, wastage, and theft. There has been nothing has happened so far. All right. August, September, October, we are now in November. Mm-hmm. We've not seen anything in the form of grandiose that is announcing the macroeconomic situation on what we are doing around the real problem in this country. Until we do that, but Kenyans will continue to feel the pain, and people will continue to present government positions where Kenyans are just shaking their heads.
Dana, something has happened really. But on the revenue side, 178 billion shillings is the target by the National Treasury, and we'll be speaking about that shortly. But first, Gabriel, tell me...
The revenue side has no problem. It has grown consistently.
We'll have that conversation.
We have no revenue.
Gabriel, I'm looking at the statistics from the same government. You're saying that a lot has changed in the construction sector, housing, and what have you. But the economic survey would show that... in 2023, the consumption of cement reduced from 9.4 million tons to 9.2 million tons.
Some years ago, just because it reduced, and again, it's like what you just talked about, salaries. And if we...
Please don't give me another example. Use cement as an example.
I can actually join the two. There's no problem joining the two. It's like you giving me one example. I can just join another one. There's no problem. Yeah?
Please respond.
So, two things. And I've not seen actually what you're putting up across, but I would bet this probably to what my good sister was saying. Yes, people may say the uchumi that my good friend Honorable Ndindi Nyoro talks about, the uchumi wa mfuko. And if the uchumi wa mfuko has not reached people to start spending as they did probably, it's when we are saying the trajectory is heading in the right direction. You cannot, or we cannot really define that angle without understanding where we are coming from. And probably this is the haste we run to by saying things are not working. Just like my sister said, there's nothing that is working until you reminded her, or until we may remind her, that indeed some of the interventions that have been put across are starting to look up. What are these interventions? Just the other day, Mheshimiwa, people were walking in the streets of Nairobi with sufuria kwa kichwa. What happened? There was an intervention, a deliberate intervention. Again, we go back to what my good brother did.
What is the outcome of that intervention?
Wait, the good honorable, my good friend Ndindi Nyoro, who keeps saying, if we get right the uchumi wa tumbo, it shows these other uchumis will be able to take care of. The sufuria on top of people's heads, it meant everybody was talking about unga. The intervention on fertilizer, to subsidize production was a deliberate move to ensure that the issue of food is taken care of.
So you don't see. What is the outcome of that intervention?
You do not see people with sufurias. Unga is now affordable. Unga is
I'm asking.
You're
please
asking
understand my
me
question.
The intervention. The fertilizer.
Gabriel, please let's make it this easy and possible.
The fertilizer subsidy.
I am asking you this question.
Farmers.
Please just hold it.
Okay.
The inflation has dropped. Correct. The price of unga has reduced. Correct. All that is clear.
Yes.
What I'm asking is, after the fertilizer intervention, what is the outcome in terms of productivity?
What do you mean in terms of productivity? Are the food prices not...
I'm not talking about the food prices. I'm talking about the quantities.
On the quantities of what? I think we are probably not understanding what.
The production. You are giving subsidy to influence production, isn't it?
And it has gone up.
So what is the production?
We, in terms of numbers, probably, I don't have the numbers with me, but the truth of the matter is, me and you can see, we don't need numbers when somebody is telling us, a few months ago, Mheshimiwa, I was buying unga at 150, 180. Today, I'm buying the same unga at 100 or lower. So the issue of you asking for statistical data, probably I may not have it with me, but that is something seen. The food basket, whether we like it or not, some. And to my good sister, the food items that were given these subsidies, that were subsidized on production, they have gone low. And the other thing, Sam, which is quite as critical as this deliberation this morning, is I told you about some of the things that have been let, to just slip for the longest. When we talked about quality education, when we talked about quality healthcare, when we talked about quality housing, whether we like it or not, if we do not solve this mess, it will create something called a quality problem. There will be crisis in the future. That is why the president said we have to be deliberate. Yes, there's the term of delayed gratification, which we must understand, but we have to build on better. So when you are saying about this situation, and my sister, this actually is something probably you need to acquaint yourself. When we talk about the current situation, we cannot run away from the fact that we messed up on the debt issue. To be 11 trillion, it is something that we played. We went to party with somebody else's money. This money at some point has to be paid. And that's why sometimes you see life is hard, because we are not moving to borrow as much. The president said the borrowing has to come to an end.
So, Sam, let's make progress. Just to indicate one.
And I want us to transition to the topic about public participation.
Participation, yes, but let's also credit the RINs.
Yeah.
with the increased production. And that just also to indicate that one of the things that I really focus on is public debt. So I am very familiar that the last government put us in a terrible hole, and this government has widened it.
Well done, well done. No, widened it?
Yes, it has grown.
Oh, yeah, please ask that, because
Sam, we have a problem.
I almost cheered you up only for you to come.
No, the foundation of the hole and the digging was done by the Jubilee government. That is for sure.
Yep.
Immediately, Kenya Kwanza took over, and part of their manifesto that they ought to keep speaking about is what they promised Kenyans about debt and taxation. But immediately, the shock they found, and of all the borrowed money, they should have immediately gone for who took our debt. But instead, they have gone for expensive credit. 2022,